Hello, welcome back or welcome. I'm today I'm going to try to talk about topics about girlhood and which movies inspired me through, during, or after girlhood. So let's begin with the video. I think everybody knows and has watched this movie, but I think it's still like a good movie to talk about when talking about girlhood. Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 version, not the TV show, not the older versions, but I think the 2005 version really hit the nail on the head into what women would like, especially Keira Knightley and Matthew, who played Mr. Darcy. I think they were just perfect for their characters. I think everybody was perfect for their characters. Kitty, like some of my favorite actors came out of that movie and went on to win Oscars, went on to like be nominated and for Emmys. I think the guy that played Mr. Darcy is now in Succession, but like, this movie was just perfection. And I keep saying on this channel that I do not like enemies to lovers, but apparently it's a lie. It's very much a lie. So I'm just gonna say it's still one of my favorite movies. It's still an amazing read, but the 2005 Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley. For a woman of the time, I think she would be like considered a tomboy. So I think that's why I related to her so much. It's just an amazing movie. I'm not gonna explain the plot on that movie because I feel like everybody knows the plot, and I'm talking about movies that I like, so this is good. A movie that I'm also not going to explain the plot to, Cinderella, the Brandy version in particular. Not many people like musicals. I love a good musical. Not many people like Brandy singing on this, and I say you are sacrilegious and have no. I'm joking. So the Cinderella Brandy version. I think the reason it works so well, especially with her singing voice, and I'm gonna defend her singing voice a little bit. It's a character of Cinderella who's kind of been like brought it down into like this timid character, so it makes sense why her voice would be so soft and like squeaky and almost like a mouse. And I think that's why the Brandy version works so well. And I don't understand why people don't like her version. I think many people like the Broadway, like a Broadway voice for it. I disagree. So the next movie that I will be talking about is Akeelah and the Bee. It's one of, I think it's a classic at this point. I'm not sure when it came out, but we were introduced to Keke Palmer. We had Angela Bassett. We had Lawrence Fisher. I think Bow Wow was in there. I think he played the younger brother. So I think the reason I think Akeelah and the Bee is such an amazing movie is because it's a black lead, no trauma. We rarely get that anymore, and it has a lot of not only characters but even like with the side characters, Asian, Hispanic. It's not a lot, but it's something, and it's an amazing movie, and I think everybody needs to watch the show. It's an amazing movie, and I think everybody needs to watch it. Now going forth with modern TV, modern PG movies. I would love to mention Turning Red, a movie that has generational trauma, coming of age, growing up, Sandra Oh. So yeah, Turning Red. I think it's an amazing movie, And I think more people should have watched it in theaters, Disney, not on the streaming platform. Also going off PG new movies, Encanto. Encanto was also a very beautiful film about generational trauma. But I think it has more of that than Turning Red. Turning Red is more of a coming of age and not getting over generational trauma, but understanding why your parents might be like this. Encanto, it's just generational trauma, and I think for me, it's a little bit above Turning Red in that point because it really kind of hits the nail on the head when talking about it. It's just it's a beautiful movie that I hope nobody has to go through, but I know a lot of people when the movie came out in theaters, Disney, they were like, I've never felt so represented, I've never felt so seen, and this is the representation that we want. So I think Encanto is definitely followed girlhood, but I think Encanto also, I think many people just need to see the movie with that one because it's amazing. It's not just about girlhood, it's about things that come with girlhood, the responsibilities, wanting to be useful to your family, the wanting to care, and then also feeling like you are consistently doing everything wrong. So, watch Encanto. That's also a movie that I won't explain because I feel like we've known the plot because it has multiple versions of it. Little Woman. I don't know. I don't remember when this movie came out, but it is the one. It is the modern version. I think everybody should watch the one with Winona Ryder. But if you don't, I think the more modern version for our generation, I think is also great. I'm so glad that we're bringing back these movies like Pride and Prejudice, Little Women, and or even talking about it because there's a time where where they I think many people thought that we'd outgrown those genre of movies where like the remakes of classical books, and let us never ever like grow out of that mindset. Okay, the next movie that I would like to talk about is Waiting to Exhale. The fact that many people don't know this movie, and it had Whitney Houston, Angela Bassett, and it is kind of alarming. It's about four black female friends who are literally kind of in turmoil within their relationships. One doesn't want her son to go away for college. One, I mean, not for college. I think he wanted to go to Spain. One is trying to find, I think two of them are trying to find good men. And then another one is going through tumultuous divorce with their husband who cheated on them. I don't think this movie may be for everybody. I think it might even be a little triggering, but it's a good movie nonetheless. I think it's the effect of like what happens when you don't care about not what happens when you don't care about girlhood, but what happens if girlhood trauma is never um it's just never fixed in girlhood, and you have women who basically go back to like the mindset of like girls who don't know how to like live their lives. And I think it's a good movie. It's also a warning movie, so heed its warning. Next movie that I also want to bring up is Set It Off. It's it's so tragic, and yet it's probably still. Should I have seen this in childhood? No. But did I? Yes. Did it formally change me as a child? Yes. Again, should I have seen it? No. Does my mom knew I saw it in childhood? No. So let's just go on. It's also about 4 women who go through some stuff. I don't want to spoil it. This is probably the one movie that I don't want to even I mean, like, I'm not explaining like half of it, but because I feel like everybody knows Little Woman, everybody knows Cinderella, everybody knows Pride and Prejudice. But Set It Off is about 4 women who are literally who decide to rob banks. I promise my channel is still gonna like, I feel like I have to explain myself a little bit. Who went through horrible events and decide to rob banks to make money and then become notorious criminals while simultaneously are being chased by the police and get tipped off one by one until there's one person left standing. Why is this about girlhood? Like, you're probably asking yourself the question, like, why? Like, why is this about girlhood? It's a Spike Lee movie. It's probably one of his best movies. He should have won an Oscar for it. He should have won an Oscar for a lot of movies that came before Black Klansman, but anyway, Set It Off. How do I explain this is about girlhood without getting my channel demonetized? YouTube, fake, it was fake. It's a movie, it's a movie, it's a movie. Hands up, it's a movie. I think this might be geared more I think it might be geared more to a Black female audience. I mean, it is geared more to a Black female audience because of it's what we have to go through in America. It's all because this one character, played by Vivian Fox, lost her job because she knew who was robbing the place. It's definitely a Black film. It's definitely a Black film geared toward Black women. It's definitely a film that expresses off rage, and for anyone who's the viewer, it's not forgiving. But I think that's the beauty of it, because these women are going into this in the beginning as girls, and then they're left as traumatized, because at first it was just robbing banks, and then it became murdering people, and then it became shooting at people, and then the expectations of what is going on, greed, money, power. It was like that one book. Oh, what is that one book called? Oh, give me a second. It was like that one book, Lord of the Flies. At first, they were lost on an island, and at first it was good, and then the boys got hungry, and then the boys started killing people, and then someone was like, oh, let's not do this, and then they killed that guy, and then, like, someone finally came to rescue the boys, and all the boys could do was just cry, because they knew that their loss of innocence had died on that island. It's dark. If you don't want to watch it, I completely get it. I probably didn't do the best job of explaining it. It's an amazing movie, still, nonetheless, but I get why people probably didn't watch it. The next movie I would like to talk about is Booksmart. It's one of those underrated gems that I don't think anybody saw because I don't think it was marketed enough. But it's about these 2 girls, 2 best friends, who are going to be the top of their class. I think they forget they go to a good school in like a good school district. So they're like, oh, we gave up all partying, all this, all that. and we're going to make it into the college of our dreams. And everybody around us is stupid and dumb, which I cannot express how relatable that is, especially to the people that I went to school with. And then they flip around, and the girl who who's considered the popular girl and conventionally attractive, she literally turns around and she says, "I'll meet you in spring in Stanford." And this girl's world crumbles because she realizes that she could have had it both. She could have had a social life, and she could have had AP classes and book smarts and doing that. And she was realizing that she gave up 4 years of just studying in a book for nothing. I think it's a very important movie to watch, especially to my African girls who are forced to watch, who are forced to study the book every single day, just writing away our lives. I think everybody should watch that movie. Yeah, like my friends know because I won't shut up about this movie. My friends know that I love this movie, and this movie is West Side Story. And it's specifically the 2021 version with Steven Spielberg. I mean, that man's craft is like, it's astounding. It's amazing what he's able to do with just his mind and cinematography and the way that he directs. West Side Story introduces us to rival gangs who, I think everybody knows West Side Story. Everybody should know the plot of West Side Story. Rival gangs. And the thing interesting about Steven Spielberg is that while the gangs are kind of blaming each other, he also overshadows like big companies like trying to push the Irish and the Hispanic population out of New York. So like that's the main villain, but they're so busy with themselves that they don't even like know or care or even want to fight the big bad. And I feel like if they had united, so many things would not have happened, but they did. They did. But I think Steven Spielberg has not only an opportunity, but like he's like, I have an opportunity to showcase these two cultures, and I'm gonna take it. And Maddie Ziegler's in it, so like it's just a fun surprise. Next movie I want to showcase is Hidden Figures. Everybody should know, but again, for like 100 years, we didn't know. Thank you, NASA. Anyway, the movie is about Black women who are not just like the head of the science department. They're not the head, but are working, and it's like a lot of Black women who worked on like the space Apollo. I don't remember the space names for it, but I believe it's the first man to orbit around in space to come back to Earth. And we have a mathematician, an engineer, and then a woman who works with not data analysis, but a woman who works in, what does she work in? What does she work in? We're just gonna call it like a thing that reads data. So like somebody who works with like one of those big algorithmic like machines that like bring out like where you have to like do and pull things out and put it in. So a lot of it is focused on like the glass barrier, how they had to um break it, how they had to go forward, how they had to do basically the impossible just to get a man on the moon, and then they weren't given any credit for it. Didn't have basically didn't get any credit for it. Didn't get any credit and were not known to like the public for years and years and years. So I think that it's okay. Let me go on a rant a little bit. It's annoying because these women contributed so much to society, also American society. But the minute they were done, and they weren't even done, like they were spit out, and we learn about the man who orbited the sun. And we learn about so much more, especially in regards to like the younger grades. And then when we go up to like higher grades, like middle school, then we learn about the people who were in the background. These women were not given any recognition at all. And that is probably one of the most frustrating things about girlhood. No matter how hard you try, you're not given recognition at all for what for like even changing lives or even contributing to society or even I think one of like the creator of like Wi-Fi, this woman, she I think she's just now getting credit, and then the people who like probably won a Nobel Peace Prize were two men. I think like Henrietta Lacks. Like this woman's cells were taken without her consent, and the men who, because her cells were not magical, but like because her cells were so important to treat cancer, the men took her cells without consent. They're the ones that are going to get, they're the ones that have gotten recognition. And we don't even know how the story, and the fact that her family, like Henrietta Lacks's family, didn't know that the Akeelah cells were hers to like begin with is so alarming, and it just shows the injustice of American society in the sense that it will kind of just run you dry. It will take everything from you and not give you the recognition you deserve, no matter what. No matter what you do, you could change lives and you're still not worth it. So that was my little rant. Probably should not have gone on it, but I'm still watching the video. And then probably one of the darker films that I'm going to talk about today is Spencer. Spencer kind of talks about the declining mental health having to do with Princess Diana, the People's Princess, played by Kristen Stewart. It really shows her, and I think many people say like it shows her struggling with what she should do with the divorce, but I think it also shows a declining mental health, and it's also a version better than if you wanted to watch the Marilyn Monroe, Anna de Armas. Like I think like Spencer's miles better because it shows the humanity within Diana, especially with somebody whose mental health is declining, than just somebody who is getting somebody who's just kind of, it's sad, but kind of a male's fantasy, and just people who are playing that up to the public. Uh, Spencer was a hard watch, but I think I needed to watch it. It really showed like the headspace, the paranoia, the sadness, the loneliness. Oh, the loneliness um, of what a person in that position could have been going through. And then I really like that, even though we know what happens with Princess Diana and Prince Charles, it's kind of like a hero's journey. It's like Priscilla leaving, and then it's like a hero's journey because we get to see her win, even though we know what's going to happen, even though we know that it's not going to end well. We get to see a person that is well liked. She's the people's princess, who's clearly fighting off demons win at the end of the movie. And I think that's important to showcase good people winning. Whereas, yeah, whereas Marilyn biopic um, didn't showcase that. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much. Bye. I hope you have a nice rest of your day.